So you've probably clicked on this video because you've never heard of this piece and you probably know nothing about it. So obviously that's not the case, so let's just get right into it. Hey guys, my name is John. Welcome back to another episode of For The Classical Guitarist. If this is your first time here, hope you like what you see. And in this video, as I'm sure you guessed, we're going to be talking a little bit about the well-known overplayed classical guitar piece, Asturias. Let's get started. So like any of my a little bit about series, the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be the composer. So let's just talk about Isaac Albeniz for just 1 second. So first off, he was born on May 29th of 1860, and then he passed away on May 18th of 1909. So he lived to be about 48 years old or so. He was born in Girona, which is a city in the Catalan northern part of Spain. So when it comes to his musical background, he was actually a child prodigy like many of the big name composers back in the day. He started doing full-on performances by the age of 4, and when he was age 7, when he started taking music only a little bit more seriously by taking lessons, he was admitted to the Royal Conservatory of Paris. And the only reason why he wasn't allowed to go study there is because he was too young. Just imagine being a college student and there's this 7-year-old kid just running circles around everybody. So that's probably why they didn't admit him. Now, one popular rumor that's gone around is that when he was 12, he actually ran away from home and hid away on a boat so that way he could go all over the world and tour the United States, tour Cuba, and tour Argentina, just doing concerts. However, he's known for a few other things, and that's kind of why we're here. Not only was he known as a pianist, but he was also a great, well-known composer as well. So much so that he's actually one of the most famous Spanish composers writing music that was in the native Spanish folk music style. And actually, a lot of his music is kind of the image when people think of Spanish music today. In terms of the music that he wrote, he's mostly known for writing music for, obviously, the piano, and that's where you'll find most of his music. But he did write some music for theater, and that actually did quite well as well. However, he never wrote a single thing for the guitar. But then why are we talking about it on a channel called For The Classical Guitarist? I'm sure you guys know a little bit of this, but let me go into a bit more detail on talking about how this famous piece of Asturias that was originally written for the piano got transferred over to the guitar. So first thing when talking about the music, let's talk about the comparison just between the piano version and the guitar version. So the one for piano was originally written in the key of G major, at least in the first section. Now, obviously that's not a great key for guitar, as I'm sure any guitarist can tell you, so to keep it simple, the common arrangement is going to be bumped over to E minor, of course. Of course, there are certain things in the original piano version that we just can't do on the guitar. Number one is that they have just a wider range of keys and notes to play, and we only have 6 strings. So most guitarists make up for this by having a way of playing the chords in a different way to make them sound fuller, even though we have actually less notes. Another one is in the piano version, when we had this pedal note going back and forth, they have it marked staccato, and on the guitar, as you guys might know, that would just not be possible. So we just took that out altogether, but I think it sounds totally fine without it, and it still gets the same idea across. Now let's quickly get into what the title Asturias means and what it's about, and maybe why it's even kind of misleading. So Asturias is an area from the northern western region of Spain, and as you guys might be able to tell from some of these photos, doesn't really seem like it fits with what the music is saying. So let's talk about how that happened. But in order to do that, we need to talk about how the piece got its name in the first place, because Albeniz didn't name the piece Asturias. When Albeniz first had this piece published, he originally just called it Preludio because it acted as a prelude to 2 other pieces of his in a set of pieces called Chants D, which was published in 1892. A few years later, he had it published again in a set of 5 pieces, but either way, it was still set as a prelude. Wait, Chants D? I thought this is from something called the Suite Espanol. In 1911, the piece was republished again. This time, it was published as a set of pieces of Albeniz's work called the Suite Espanol, Opus 47. Now think back a second. This was published in 1911, but Albeniz died in 1909, so he had no idea that the piece was going to be published in this set of pieces. The publisher ended up giving the piece the name Asturias, also the name leyenda, which just translates to legend. So one of the things that actually influenced the piece, funny enough, was the guitar. Albeniz loved classical guitar music. Oh, yes, at the time it was more flamenco music, but he was so inspired, he wanted to make a piece that just evoked that feeling. And that's why you can hear the guitar influence even on the opening section of just this pedal tone going back and forth with the melody being played over it. The opening section even suggests a boleria, which is a fast flamenco beat that has notes grouped in groups of 12, as you probably can tell is happening in the beginning. Like much of the flamenco music at the time, this piece was set in the Phrygian mode, and also in the B section it uses what we call a copla, which ended up being a popular Spanish song form. Also in the B section, where things start to kind of slow down a bit and just get a bit more simpler and more lyrical, you can hear influences from Arabic, Indian, and Gypsy music. And that's what Asturias was influenced by. Primarily, luckily for us, the guitar and flamenco music. So if Albeniz was this big, well-known pianist and composer, How did his music start to get on the guitar? So the first thing that happened is Isaac Albeniz was very influenced by the guitar, like I mentioned, not only in this piece, but other pieces of his, such as Sevilla and Granada. And he actually ended up becoming pretty good friends with the guitarist Miguel Obet, who actually ended up taking some of his arrangements and making them for the guitar. Some of them he even made for him, so that way Miguel Obet could perform them in concert himself. So he had a pretty strong connection to the guitar already. Another person to take his music and put it onto the guitar was, of course, Francisco Tárrega. And these guys were probably the first two to start playing Albeniz's music on the guitar. But the one that we want to talk about now is going to be, of course, Andres Segovia, which is why we actually play Asturias on the guitar in the first place. So this piece, like many, is one that we definitely want to be very thankful for Segovia for bringing over the guitar for us, because pretty much every guitar player has performed it and has recorded it, and if you guys haven't, you definitely will once you learn it. So there you have it. Anyway, that's all for now, and yes, there's tons of stuff I left out, of course. Like I said, this video is just a little bit about and not a lot about, but if you guys do want to go and learn a lot about this piece, I would highly recommend checking out the article by Stanley Yates called Everything You Wanted to Know About Asturias, because that's where I got a lot of this information from. I'm going to go ahead and link that article down below, and like I said, yeah, check it out if you want to know more. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys like this series. If you guys have future pieces you want me to do, go ahead and leave them down in the comments down below, and I'll try to get to them eventually. And if you guys are new here, thank you so much for checking out my channel, and if you like what you saw, go ahead and say hello down below, subscribe if you want to see future videos, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.